Hi guys, George here, and today I'm going to bring to you another ASL tips and tactics scenario analysis. And today we're going to be analyzing ASL scenario 182, Stray or Strays. So the scenario takes place during D-Day, and it's about Lieutenant Colonel Robert Strayer that has amassed different elements of scattered parachutists that drop behind enemy lines, and essentially he gathers them up and tries to make a cohesive force to attack their objective behind Utah Beach. So it's a southern causeway, the southern causeway from Utah Beach. How the scenario portrays this battle is in 3.5 turns. Um, there is a bit more uh, meat to the or substance to the German OB, 12 squads, but 4 of which are conscripts, against the 8 elite squads of the American player from different parachute regiments, and a DM MMG. Important element here is the hero. So eventually what had happened is that uh, the lieutenant colonel was able to amass um, some strength. Both sides were bewildered with the events that unfolded, and eventually, um, even though Lieutenant Colonel Strayer did not meet his objective, the overall battle was, as you may know, won by the Allies. And if we look at the map, the overall objective is the Americans start anywhere along here, and they have to exit a certain number of victory points here. And what is the objective essentially? Let's scroll down. Yep, exit 10 or more victory points. So that's chapter A, where victory points are discussed. Now, I'll give you a couple of hints for the um, uh, Germans and a few more for the Americans. It's needless to say that this was one of the first scenarios I played in the first tournament ever. It was held, I believe, last year or the year before, the Caslo convention in New Brunswick. It was held uh, through uh, through Zoom, um, essentially because of COVID. This year I was not able to attend. I hope to be able to attend sometime shortly at a live event. But to be perfectly honest, most of my games, the counters have not yet been clipped and put in storage. Um, my actual scenarios, though, I have put in storage, and I'm going to talk to you about scenario card storage in another short video. So let's get on with the hints for um, the Germans. Well, there's two options that the Germans can can opt for. Um, Now let's take a look at the German forces and put them on the board. Let's get started. Let's put our first line troops here. Second line troops, just put them on the board for now. Of course, we should not forget about the snipers. Yep. And our conscripts. Okay. So we have 12 squads, fractions rounded, 10% fractions rounded up. That should give us 2 squads. Let's take a look at that. Use our good old calculator. We don't need a calculator, but let's you know 1.2 would be 2. So you actually can deploy 2 squads as the German player in this game, which is important. Which is important because if you want to use a forward facing defense, the more actual squads, the more firepower you can exert right off the bat, the better off you are. Now, there are 2 strategies that I would like to recommend for the German player. Number 1, there is a second level building on the board here and here, and you can take advantage of that. So In terms of who I'm going to deploy, I'm going to deploy the conscripts. I'll tell you why in a second. Um, let's half squad them. Let's half squad them. And clone. Here's my 2 deployed squads. And I am looking for my counter tray. Oh, they'll come up. So let's go on with the first deployment that I would like to recommend. And I believe the counter tray will show up eventually. There it is. It took some time. So what I want is second level. Clone this little fellow here. Clone them one too many times. Let's increase the level. Level 2. Here. And let's put 1, 2, 4, 6, 7s here with a leader. And 2, 4, 6, 7s here with a leader. Put that leader on top. As for the rest of the squads, what I have here is a well-covered area by virtue of having this fellow on a second level. And I have this fellow covering most of the board up until here. So here is where I'd like to put most of my good order squads, and then the deployed squads. Give him something to think about. Remember, you want to start concealed because he's starting off the board. Now, he's pretty much covered because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He covers pretty much the whole entire area of advance here. Here we have less coverage, so we want to put units in hard to find places. As well, you get 4 concealment counters. Let's get the counter tray out. Where's the counter tray? Takes a bit of time to... Oh, there it is. Good. Access OB. Some concealments, and we can clone them. Alright. And we can put them here or here. Let's clone everybody else. Not clone. Conceal everybody else. Just to show you that now with the Germinal being concealed, the American player has something to worry about here, but he really doesn't know what he will expect here. Okay? Yeah. Now, strategy number 2. Completely neglect the height advantage that this building gives you here, and position these troops in an area where they can act as a rapid deployment force. So once you, like this for example, okay? So let's put these on the side. Okay, so now you have 2 good order squads, 2 front line squads. That leader can pretty much, if he goes EX, CX, he can rapidly deploy them in the area where the American should decide they'll come up, right? So, for example, here he'll jump over the wall 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he could probably advance into the wheat field if he wanted to, with CX. And here he could go and maybe perhaps not be able to use the road advantage because he's starting off in a building, but he can really go either this way or that way with relative ease, or even wait for the American player down here. So that's pretty much it for the tips for the German player. Um, Tips for the American player, and let's not forget, sniper. It can go anywhere on the board because the American player is starting off board. Okay, um, for the American player, again, do not forget to deploy. You need some half squads, I believe, to act as reconnaissance units, right? Right, George. Okay, let's clone that guy. And the leader, the hero here, plays an important role, especially if you are planning to wisely attack from these woods up here. And why do I say wisely? Um, Unless you're planning to hug the edge of this board, going through the wheat field will cost you a heck of a lot of points, as opposed to going through an orchard and you get the same amount of hindrances, more or less, trying to go through here as you maybe more than trying to go through here with your movement impeded. All right, strategy here. Where are my half squads? Great, right here. Okay, this might be a little bit aggressive, but you need to be aggressive in this scenario to succeed because, hey, you only have 3.5 turns. You don't even have time to prep fire. You need to move, and in addition to moving, advancing, and only defensive fire / advanced fire. You do have assault movement. Take advantage of it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put this fellow here. And there. And sorry for the silence there. I haven't forgotten of you. Okay, so basically, we got everybody on board, everybody except Mills. Okay, so basically, I'm not going to conceal anybody here just for the purposes of being a bit convenience, alright? Okie dokie. So the first turn, what I recommend is use your half squads for reconnaissance. So 1, 2, probably go CX because you'd, well, not yet. Let's see, 2 to there and 4 to there. Does he want to fire and then conceal himself? So be it. Here, 1, 2, 3. Maybe have him go CX and over the orchard. Does he want to conceal himself? Guess what? He can't, right? Here, if they unconceal themselves, then assault move everybody else up. He'll act as a blocking force. This leader, this hero can fire group with everybody and use his modifier to reduce the amount of of um, against the TEM. Okay. Now they don't want to fire. Great. Jump into close combat with them and continue to advance. You do not advance, your goose is cooked. Okay. Speaking of gooses um, and cooking and being Canadian, of course, I want to give out a shout out to the fellows in New Brunswick, if I haven't already done so. that are currently in the D-Day Dodgers tournament. To George X, you know who you are from Ontario, David Garvin, Alain Chabot, and Bill Thompson that trekked all the way from Texas via automobile to enjoy a good game of ASL. And we're almost in the post-COVID days. Knock on wood, we're going to be out of this pandemic sooner rather than later. All right, so that's tip number one. Well, two tips. Always deploy, use your half squads for reconnaissance, attack and strength, and the orchard is way much more better than the wheat field. Now, having said all that, remember as the American player, you have the luxury of getting a bird's eye view of the board, study the deployment well before you commit your forces to the attack. You might see that one flank is weaker than the other. Exploit that weakness. And remember, prep fire in this scenario is not your friend. Move and fire. Great. One other shout out. There was a fellow that asked me, and his username I believe is, I can't pronounce it, IGYCRCL. Why the Russian forces were concealed in the previous analysis that I did, and basically I didn't have a clear understanding of how concealment works. I think I have a better understanding now. Nobody has a monopoly on rules and rule interpretations in ASL, but we do have a wonderful community that can come to your help whenever you have rules questions. And I'd like to thank Alain Chabot and Mark Dennehy that gave me a little bit of a tutorial on rules questions and whatnot, and made the concept a little bit more clear than it was before. Having said that, I've spoken for 17 minutes. My goal is to give you as much information as possible in 10, and if not exceed 20. So that is that. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, comment as well. I appreciate comments. They are a wealth of information to me as well as to the other viewers. So that's all, folks. See you again. Take care. Bye.